Dude, we got some removals.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I'm surprised we had some removals this month. Okay, I'm not gonna yell at the team. They're doing their thing.
I'm going to show you how to take your 548 credit score all the way to 850 by using the formula on the board behind me. So let's dive in. If you are in the neighborhood of 500 and 600, you're probably going to have negative items on your credit report, such as charge-offs, collections, late payments, maybe even a bankruptcy, so on and so forth. And you probably have a thin file, which means you most likely don't have established credit. I'm talking about 10 years of revolving accounts like credit cards. Credit cards will be the best way to build your credit all the way to 850. And if you don't have that, it's going to be difficult. Approved for credit cards. Let me first show you how to get all the negative items first. The first thing that you need to focus on is phase one, and this is called the alignment phase. It's going to take 3 to 6 months to do this entire process. So the first step is to get these accounts removed, okay? So this requires you to have mastery of consumer credit reporting, and there's about 5 laws. If you don't have mastery of these 5 laws, it's going to take you longer to repair your credit. You could learn how to do it. It's going to take you time. You could hire someone to do it for you. It might take you some time to find a qualified expert, but I think it's worth it. If you're on a crunch time and you want to do this fast, I would highly recommend you do that. Assuming you hire the best credit repair company around, which is my company, that this whole process could take you 3 to 6 months. Okay, if you were to do it yourself, it's probably going to take you around 12 to 24 months right here. This is what the data shows. A lot of people that use DIY software programs like Dispute Beast and so on and so forth, Dispute Panda, they're seeing optimal results around this 12-month, above 6 to 12-month period. If you don't have time, if you don't mind waiting, then go for a cheap option and learn how to do it yourself, no problem. But if you want to leave it to the professionals and time is crucial for you, then I would work with a top accredited company. Now, if you don't have mastery of your consumer credit reporting laws, it's going to be harder and it takes longer. Okay, it'll be more difficult to repair your credit and it will take longer. So if this is not a problem for you, then go ahead, knock yourself out. Go knock some negative items off if you think you can. This phase, you're in 500 to 600 range. Let's say you have charge-off, bankruptcy, collection, student loans, late payments, and let's say you got all this done. Typically for us, it'll take around 3 to 6 months for optimal results, and that'll get you around phase 2, which is what I call the growth phase. This phase is about building your credit, building your history, which goes into 2 parts: primary trade lines and authorized user trade lines. Let's focus on the primary trade lines first. The first thing you want to do when you get these items removed is get secured credit cards. Those are the best options for you. What you want to avoid are things like self-lender, Credit Strong, and stuff like this, because those accounts are installment loans and they're not really going to help your credit out that much. There's alternatives to those things, which we'll go about in the video in just a second. After you fix your credit and get out of this is like credit jail right here. This is jail, okay? Phase 1 is jail. You're in jail. Phase 2 is you're out of jail, but when you're out of jail, what do you do when you're out? Well, you basically build a life. You grow your life, you build it. And so this is what we're doing here. You're out of financial jail, now you're in the game, but when you're in the game, you're not really in the game until you get some skin in the game with the top banks. So the banks know you just got out of jail because they look at your credit report and it's a thin file. They look at your age and they're like, oh, you're 36 years old, oh, you're 45 years old, and you have a thin file, meaning no negative items, it's completely clean. They're like, what's wrong with you? Are you stupid? Like, have you ever lived? They kind of get an idea that you probably fixed your credit or you started over, you file for bankruptcy or whatever. 7 to 10 years later, then you have what's called a thin file if you haven't built your credit. In order to avoid that, you want to add primary trade lines on your credit. And so the primary trade lines that I'd recommend are the secured credit cards. And basically when you get secured credit cards, It's like your apology to the bank, right? So you have to put your best foot forward and say to the bank, hey, I'm sorry I screwed up before. Here's some good faith. Boom, throw some cash on the table. Hopefully it's thousands of dollars. And you want to do this in the form of secured cards. The top 4 that I recommend are Bank of America, Citi, Discover, Capital One. Do not get auto loans. Look, let's be real here. If you mess up your credit, chances are you are financially illiterate, you cannot calculate, and you're at a high risk. Okay, hate me for that. Hate me for saying that. But the fact of the matter is you screwed up financially, you didn't calculate, or maybe you had an accident or hurricane came to your house and wiped it out completely. I don't know. The point is this. You are risky to deal with, and you need to mitigate risk. And you need to maximize your profits and maximize your savings and interest so you can grow your credit and build your financial future. So the best way to do that is to minimize your cost and maximize your leverage. So you need to build your bankroll up. You need to go to Bank of America and open a secured card, Citi, Discover, or Capital One. Each one of these will take you if you have no negative items on your credit. And you want to do it in a form of a secured card because that shows them, hey, you're serious, right? It shows them you are serious. There's no better way to prove to the bank that you are serious by putting money into their entity and letting it appreciate in value via compound interest in the investments that they do with the credit that they extend to you. In this form, it's you give them cash, which is an asset. The banks don't give you cash; they give you a credit, right? But you're giving them cash, which is something of more value, and they make dividends off it because cash depreciates. So what you want to do is you want to get the secured cards. That's the best way to say that you are sorry, right? You can say that you're sorry, but in the real world, talk is cheap. It's not about what you say, it's about the things that you do. And if you guys are like, oh, I don't want to get a secured card, I just want to apply, I just want to get some authorized user trade lines and add them on my file, but that's the problem. You need to understand, FICO over the years has changed, and they don't put as much weight on authorized user trade lines like they did, let's say, 15, 20 years ago. Those days are over. Now you have VantageScore, which is very prevalent in lending, and they don't put so much weight on authorized user trade lines that are considered a thin file. A thin file means you have no primaries. So you need to add the primaries first by doing this. So I would suggest opening up these secured accounts if you can, 3 to 6K of overall secured credit. So you can put 1,000 in Discover, 1,000 in Citi, and 1,000 in Bank of America, and realize that these banks that you work with, you're to get unsecured cards later on, and we'll go about that. And that's really important. Now, if you screwed up Bank of America, screwed up Citi, and screwed up with Discover, or Capital One money because you had a charge-off collection, then just go ahead and forget that part because you have literally fucked yourself. So the banks don't want to deal with you. Why would I want to deal with you? Come on, be serious, okay? So hopefully you didn't screw up these relationships, right? Hopefully you didn't fuck everyone over, and there's some people that you can work with. So you'll have to see if you're in check systems or if you're in a database where you had a charge off with them, and hopefully not. So let's just say you were able to get Bank of America, Citi, and Discover. Okay, good, excellent. Now what you want to do is hold these accounts and manage them correctly. You want to keep your balance as close to 10%, below 10% as possible, and never get a late payment. Set everything up on auto pay. Do not max out the cards. Do not max out your secured cards. You want to show the bank your borrowing power and a good sense of your income by putting money in. If they say, hey, you put 3,000 in a secured card, or 2,000 in a secured card, or 1,000 in a secured card, they get a good idea that you're not the normal bad credit customer, and you are moving along the lines of a good client for them. And secured credit card, although it will take 6 to 12 months of managing this correctly in order for it to graduate into an unsecured, and some of these are not automatic. Some of it do it automatic, and then some you have to call, right? And you know, that's the best way to do it, right there. I can't think of any other good way. What you don't want to do, you don't want to do credits. You don't want to do credit strong. You don't want to do self-lender because those are subprime lenders. And the banks know that they're subprime lenders. And if you want to walk inside of a bank with a tattoo on your forehead saying, I am a subprime borrower, you're going to be treated like a chump. And they're always going to like have a bad taste in their mouth when pre-approving you for any of their credit instruments or programs. So you want to disassociate all of your past, right? You want to erase all that past and start a new future by putting skin in the game and showing them that you are serious. And this is what you guys need. You guys need to plan ahead. So what we have here is we know to get secured cards, right? These are primary accounts. You want to get 3 of them. And if you get 3 of them, you also want to do some rent reporting because rent reporting goes back to 12 to 24 months, right? There's a few, maybe I'll leave a few affiliate links or links in the description below. You can check them out. Start reporting your rent backdated. I think you can do it up to 2 years. That's 2 years of credit history, which is going to even out your average credit length history. But hold on a second. You might say, well, if we open up a bunch of new secured accounts, that's going to make my average credit history pretty much more newer than it is old. So the way to counterbalance that is do your rent reporting, and then you want to get authorized user trade lines after these graduate into unsecured cards. Why? Because when you take these secured cards, and you want to, upgrade them to unsecured, they might do a hard inquiry. They might do a soft inquiry, so prepare yourself. Nonetheless, once they're unsecured, you're going to be given a higher credit limit that is unsecured, assuming that you do everything correctly. And in order to do that properly, you want to meet the timing. And so I would suggest getting some authorized user trade lines, okay? And you basically want to get 3, okay? So you want to get, 5 trade lines. 5 trade lines over 10 years, over 10K. Those are the ones you can get. You can get them from anywhere, but get them from a credible source like TRADELINE Supply Co. If you guys want to know more about how trade lines work, you might want to watch this video here. And that goes for that. I want to touch back on Credit Strong and Self-Lender, okay? Because the thing is, Credit Strong and Self-Lender are installment loans, and they're going to have the least amount of impact on your FICO score. I drew a little graph here that depicts how good authorized user trade lines are in comparison to Credit Strong and Self-Lender, which are installment loans. And here, it's going to affect your payment history, which is 35% of your FICO, 9 out of 10 points. Utilization, 7 out of 10 points. And length of history, 7 out of 10 points. New credit, 5 out of 10 points. And credit mix, 4 out of 10, because they're revolving accounts with different banks. So it's going to affect your credit mix to some degree, not a whole lot. But that's why we have the rent reporters, which is going to also affect your credit mix of your type of credit, your mix of credit. And it's also going to affect your payment history, and it's also going to help your length of history as well. Okay? So you want to get 5 trade lines over 10 years, over 10K. This right here is probably going to cost you probably $2,500 bucks, $2,500 to $3,000 for this, what we're talking about. Okay. Now, once you do that, okay, your average credit length history is going to be 5 to 7 years because we get 3 secured trade lines that are pretty much brand spanking new, but I would say like a year old because remember, it takes 12 months for them to graduate to unsecured, 7 months for Discover, 6 to 12 for Capital One, and Citi is not automatic. It takes some time as well. So let's just say you do the secured card thing for 12 months. Your average credit length history will probably go down to around 1 to 2 years, depending upon your prior history. Like, let's say if you had some cards that were in good standing, but they got closed or terminated by the guarantor, by the issuer. Let's just say they got closed by the issuer, but you have a 10-year-old card, that's also going to factor in, but it's closed, so it's not going to be recent credit history. It'll be old history. So it will even out by adding these 5 trade lines that are over 10 years to 5 to 7 years. Then you're closer in the game. Typically, I would say you want to get this 8 to 12 years of history. So you can get like a 15-year one, you can get like a 30-year one, like the ones that I have. I have trade lines. If you need trade lines, let me know. I got the best trade lines in the entire game. You can basically look up superior trade lines, trade line supply co, and whatever they have, I have better for a better price. All right, now moving on. So when you're in this growth phase, this is 3 to 6 months, but I would say this is 6 to 12, okay? 6 to 12 months. So you're already in a year and a half right here. You're already in a year and a half, all right? You could get quicker than that. You could get quicker than that, but who knows until you start working on this, right? That's the reality. That is the reality. But even if you accomplish this far, like say you have your secured cards graduated into unsecured, that is a huge win. This took you 6 to 12 months to do that. Then you're already in phase, phase 3, which is credit card portfolio. This is when the game gets more serious. You're considered an advanced credit borrower, okay? You're considered advanced, and this is where you need to reach the prerequisites of the prime cards. And then the prime cards are the prerequisite to the elite cards, which are basically business credit cards. So let's go about it. Advanced, okay? The prerequisites of the prime are you must have these for at least 6 to 12 months, okay? Chase, Freedom, Flex, all right? I would apply for that. And Chase requires prior history. Hopefully your prior history with Chase isn't bad. Hopefully your prior history is basically no interest. Hopefully your prior history with Chase is no history, and they'll take you on as a new client because you did what I said. You got these unsecured accounts right there, and they like you. They're working with something, and they know you're serious because your utilization is really low. Your revolving credit limits are relatively high to the age, and it evens out, and they'll take you on as a customer because you're low risk. So I would apply for the Chase Freedom. Discover secured card you would already have because I recommend you do that, or you can get the Discover cash back. You can also, at this point, apply for the Amex Cash Every Day, the Capital One Quicksilver, right? Which is right here. Or the Apple Card with Goldman Sachs. At this point, you're getting up in the advanced area. You pretty much will most likely get approved, assuming you have no major inquiries. At this point, you're going to have 8 inquiries, right? Because you have 3 here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's about 8 inquiries in the hole already, right? When you get at this point, okay? Remember, Chase has a 5 to 24 rule, but we only applied for 3, so you still have 2 more inquiries to go, and now you save those 2 for Chase, right? So you get this point, now you have the Chase Freedom card, and you're already got your foot in the door with Chase. Later on, you can upgrade to, let's say, you can upgrade to a Chase Sapphire or a Sapphire Reserve. Most likely Sapphire Reserve, okay? You have 8 inquiries in the hole. Just hire me to remove them, because we can do that in a way that doesn't compromise the open accounts. And some of these, assuming when you get at this point, this might take you a year and a half, and then you just have to wait 6 more months. So the inquiries are not within a 24-month period. This is why I say 2 years. 2 years on average, right? You can do it sooner, but there's no guarantee, and you have to hire a professional like myself. This is what I do. If you guys want to work with me, I can do all this for you. You can book a consultation with me using the link in the description below, and I'll help you out. Now, at this point, you have all the prerequisites. You have 8 inquiries, remove the inquiries. Let's just say out of 8 inquiries, we removed 5 of them. Now you're only left with 3. We removed 5 and now you have 3. Well, you're still underneath the 524 rule with Chase. At this point, on the same day, you can apply for Chase Sapphire, Amex Gold Platinum, City Premier Reserve, or US Bank Altitude Reserve on the same day, so you get all of them. That's how you do it. At that point, you're at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inquiries on your credit. So it's going to take some time to get those removed. Let's just say they get removed or they don't. It'll take you 2 years for you to apply again. But it's better to get this done in 4 years than it is sitting around with your thumb up your butt for 7 to 10 years looking like a fool because you didn't take this serious. The quicker you guys get this done, the better your credit is going to be, and you're going to be living the good life. The next step is Elite Business Credit. Now these are all the prerequisites to that, but as you can see, I don't have room below, so that will be for another video. Guys, if you found any value in this video, or if you have any questions, drop a comment, but better than to leave a comment, just reach out to me. Using the link description below, book a consultation with me. It's free. So with that being said, don't forget to like, share this video, or not.